Welcome into the Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors. Creighton wins 96 to 76 tonight over the Nicholls Colonels at home. Casey, and obviously two get right game at the end of Vegas. They leave your mic, you need to mute your mic, your computer. Obviously a get right game. They needed a win in Vegas. They got that on the way out the door. They come home. They almost hang 100. Obviously, lots of nitpick, but the moral of the story is Creighton's won their last two games. They almost scored 100 points tonight. And it looked better in the second half. We saw a lot better of ball movement. We've seen guys getting to their spots and moving away from the ball to create shots without the ball in their hands. The second half looked a lot more buttoned up than the first half, in my opinion.
Yeah, it did. I mean, these games are always weird, because you're like who you're playing, and you know the level of competition that you're playing isn't great, and so you have to find it in yourself to kind of raise your game and understand it's easy sometimes in these games to not be the team that plays the hardest because they how do I say this? It's just kind of human nature where you come into these environments as a team like Nicholls, and it's just a bigger environment. It's a bigger moment. It's a bigger opportunity.
I don't want to say it's their Super Bowl because that's so cliche, but I mean,
it's not. But
this should have been a bigger game for them, but the crowd did not dictate that being the case tonight. You know what I mean?
No, but it's basically for them. I mean, you win this game. You didn't make your season, but you're talking about it for the rest of your season.
Well, you win this game, you've only have one win on the season, so it would have been their biggest win of the year, regardless. You know what I mean? They're 0-6. But I mean, for a lot of guys, and I mean, a lot of people don't want to hear this. This is kind of the way of college basketball right now. A lot of these games are showcase games for teams like this, for guys to get somewhere else or get to the next level or get a G League opportunity or maybe a group of five opportunity. But I mean, obviously we can talk about the Creighton, what Creighton did tonight, but Christian Winborn for Nicholls tonight dropped 20 points, went 7 of 8 from the field, and went 5 of 5 from 3, and had a fantastic night. And that's something that guy can, put on tape at Stack. And that's going to be a lot of what you see when the Utah Techs of the world come to town. Obviously, when Creighton already saw North Dakota, there's going to be some guys that look at this as, hey, I'm going to be on national TV tonight in a big time situation. I'm going to try to ball out for my next opportunity. That's just kind of the way college basketball is now.
Well, no question. I mean, you have an opportunity to come in here and play a Big East team and show what you can do. You have to take advantage of it. Now, I don't know that player. I don't know if he's a senior or not, but if not, then certainly it's an opportunity for him to put something on tape. And I mean, look, and you hate to say it, but it is what it is, right? He is gonna. We can't go too far either, Jimmy. I got to mention Javon Coleman. Javon Coleman's the associate head coach at Nicholls. Yep. Javon was a graduate assistant here at Creighton for a couple of years. I only worked with them for about 3 months or so, and before I'd moved on. But very fond memories of Javon. Really, really good dude, and happy for him to kind of be progressing in his career, and wish him and the team the best as they move forward.
Christian Winborn is a senior, by the way, on that point. But again, there's still the G League. There's other opportunities to go out and make some money at basketball after this, and a performance like that, going 5 of 5 from beyond the arc is fantastic enough in its own right. You brought him up in the pregame or in the halftime show. And JMCD 2203 on YouTube says, I've been saying Swartz is him. And listen, we talked about it, and you were watching Austin Swartz's body language, and for anybody that missed the halftime show and wants to recap that, go back. There was a moment between him and Mac, but it looked like he responded. And that's kind of what you were saying without saying it earlier, was how was he responding to the, we'll call it a chewing out that Mac was giving him about the foul he committed. And one of the best things that a coach can do is understand how their player is going to respond to what they say to them and how they say it. A lot of coaches get a bad rap for being hard on certain guys and not hard on other guys. Well, it's understanding how that player is going to respond to you being hard on them. And it kind of felt like Austin Swartz answered the bell from what Mac was telling him.
Yeah, certainly. It was so great to see him play well to end the first half. I thought he had a good second half. I really like Austin. I just, there's something about him and maybe his personality that I want him to succeed here. And I think that these kind of moments can help you build some trust with Coach Mac, because that's what it comes down to for Mac. Mac's got to trust that he can put you in a game and you're going to do what he's asked you to do, what he's coached you to do. So when you have a moment, look, he fouled a 3-point shooter. It happens. But when you are trying to, for this team, you're trying to find the lineups that are going to work. You're trying to, you're about to go into Big East play here before too long. you're trying to get a team that can compete in the Big East. You can't have mental lapses like that and just let them go. And so for Mac to take him out, and then he just coached him. I mean, it's
Sure.
I mean, I wasn't down there. I was trying to kind of pay attention to the body language and see it. And at first, I was a little bit concerned, but it looks like he finally let it go, and he got out there and played, and he played well. And so it's just good to see guys respond to those moments. And what it does too is for Mac, it shows, okay, I can coach this kid.
Well, and I think it's important to point out, you can't coach them while they're out on the court. You can't fix things while they're out on the court. I mean, you can do your best to communicate what the issues are or whatever, or change the sets or get them in different positioning, but you can't explain mistakes as well on the court as you can on the bench either.
Certainly. But nobody wants to come out. So, I mean, like when you make a mistake and you come out, it does feel, it's a little embarrassing.
Well, it feels like you're being punished also, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is, there's some human nature there, like being defensive. But I think that's what you have to find is guys that are going to let you coach them, guys that are going to respond when you do. And I hopefully that example for us tonight is a good one for Austin that he can kind of hang his hat on and say, okay, like I've been here before, I know how to respond when I do make a mistake, because it's inevitable. You're going to make mistakes. And again, it's like I'm a father. I try to teach my kids, life isn't about what happens to you. It's about how you respond. And for him, it's how do you respond in those moments? And tonight, I felt like he did a good job of responding.
Well, and I think we often criticize this generation or the next generation, however you want to look at it, as me, and not being coachable and social media and reaction times and things like that. And I think it's important to point out those moments for guys of Austin's age group that can do that and does have the ability to look at mistakes that they made, make the corrections to them, and hold themselves accountable too, because that's something that in today's age of AAU basketball, what we opened up talking about with getting to the next level or getting the next NIL deal and all of that, that there are still players that want to be coached, that want to better their game, that want to play for championships, that want to play for the school that they're at. I know Austin transferred in here from Miami, but the fact that you do have guys that are willing to go out there, learn from their mistakes for the coach that they're playing for currently, and make amends for the mistakes they're making and play harder when they get back out there, it is very refreshing to see.
It is. I mean, look, I think the reality is everybody, whether it's basketball players, whether it's me, I mean, I work a sales job, right? Like we all want to be good at our jobs.
Sure.
We all want to be good at whatever it is. I mean, you're an excellent father, Jimmy. Like you want to be a good dad. So I don't think like anybody ever goes out with the intention of like, I just want to get a job and be really bad at it.
Sure.
I think for the most part, people,
some PA announcers, but that's either here and there.
But I think for the most part, people want to do a good job. And so, but part of learning how to do a good job is being told when you're not doing a good job.
Yeah.
And that's why you come to a place like this. There's plenty of programs around the country where you can go and you cannot be coached. This isn't one of them.
Yeah.
But when you go to one of those programs, you don't really get better.
Well, and like specifically with Mac, but like maybe even more so with the dude that's next. Like,
sure,
Alan Huss is not going to be that guy. Like, as soon as Greg McDermott leaves, that's not stopping. Like, you're still going to be coached, and you can argue maybe even coached harder because Huss is a little more hands-on than Mac is. And again, this is the Roll Jays podcast post-game show following Creighton's 96-76 win over Nicholls here at the Chai, brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors. Creighton assistant coach Mike Nesbitt is going to join us here momentarily to recap this game, talk a little bit about Las Vegas, maybe what he had for Thanksgiving and a few other things. We'd love to hear from you. Get your thoughts in on this Creighton team. Obviously, a big win tonight. A lot of season left to play. A pretty big one on Sunday down the road in Lincoln as well. But and Deebs chimes in and says, "Better, not great, but better." And I agree. And that's gonna listen. I hate to beat the dead horse and be repetitive, but that's what I'm just gonna implore Jays fans, that don't go all in on where this team is until probably mid-January. Listen, they may be the exact same team you're seeing right now, but I think Greg McDermott has earned enough cachet with his fan base that even if it is a little tough out of the gates and what you're seeing doesn't look like a polished product or sometimes very good, that there's still a guy at the top of this food chain that knows how to fix basketball.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you like that comment specifically, better, not great, but better. I think the things that you want to look for in a game like this would be, like for me, the things I would look at in the session would be your turnovers. 11, what did we have? 12 turnovers. We had 5 in the first half, 7 in the second.
Yeah.
I don't love that. When I look at for them, they had 16 points off turnovers to our 7. Now, our style defensively is not to force turnovers. So you can't ever really compare turnovers head to head when you're looking at Creighton because it's not what we do. But what you can look at is second chance points, held them to 2 second chance points versus our 9. Things that worried me as well, points in the paint. Again, that all goes back to guarding the basketball. You give up 38 points in the paint, and a lot of those, they weren't just post ups and scoring with their back to the basket. They're attacking the basket, getting downhill, beating your defender off the dribble, scoring at the rim, which leads to the next thing, which is going to be free throws.
Yeah.
And, we gave up 16 free throw attempts tonight, and we only got to the line 7 times. Like, that isn't a recipe for success.
Not very familiar to Creighton basketball either. This team never fouled in the last 2 years.
No, well, 100%. But the other side of that, though, is when you're allowing your big man to be attacked at the rim at every possession, you're going to foul.
Which is something this school for 5 years welcomed with open arms. Please do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mistake to do that against us. But in terms of positives, look, I mean, we shot 50% from 3 tonight, which is certainly an improvement. It was nice to see Nick shoot the ball well, 3 for 4 from 3. You had Josh hit 3 threes tonight. Jason Green too. I thought Isaac had a couple back-to-back threes. Like, there were definitely some good moments and definitely things that you can say, okay, yeah, we're getting better. There's been some level of improvement. It's just hard it's just really hard against a team like this to really measure that.
I want to ask a question because this is something I've seen Jemiah do a lot last year. And I really haven't seen a ton of players do this, but Austin Swartz is down talking to John Bishop at courtside on 1620 The Zone right now. But he came out with a stat sheet in his hand. And obviously, you spent some time on this staff, and you kind of know the inner workings. Like, is that something this coaching staff cares about after the game, guys checking the stat sheet, or is that something they encourage?
No.
Maybe encourage isn't the right word.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with Mac. He wants you to be you. Sure. And he's going to give you freedom. He's not going to micromanage things like that. Certain head coaches that I've worked for would be livid if you had a stat sheet in your hand. But no, I don't think Mac's super concerned. Now, if it was something where he's talking to his teammates about the stats and why they should be better, those are things that you'd be like, all right, what are you doing? But for that, no. I mean, he's just prepared. He wants to be able to go out and know.
He's doing media too, and I guess that helps a little bit.
But. Yeah. Now, good call. Like, if he's just walking around with a stat sheet with no purpose, then you're probably like, what are you doing? But here's the thing too, is you can't be naive and bury your head in the sand. These dudes know their numbers, and if they don't have a stat sheet in their hand, they can just get on their phone and look at it. So it's not like they're not going to know. I coached a kid when I was at North Dakota State. It was the craziest thing, Jimmy. It was only one kid in my entire time. He knew his stats for the game live. He didn't have to look at the board, didn't have to look at the sheet. He
was like, all right, I'm 2 of 4 today.
And he played 35 minutes a game.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. So the guys know their numbers. You just hope that they're not getting too wrapped up in it. My hope is that the first thing that he looks at is how many turnovers did I have? And when you're going at it from how can I get better? That's cool. When you're going at it from let me confirm that I'm a good player. That's
sure. Hey, listen, Austin, you only had 1 turnover tonight, so obviously a pretty great game. He had 11 points in 13 minutes, and this isn't the Austin Swartz, so but we'll continue talking about him for a minute. But 11 points in 13 minutes. He had 2 assists and a block as well. So it's one of those things. Those are obviously pretty great stats, but you've got to take into consideration the level of talent. And played a team with a big red N in their logo tonight. Problem is, you got to play an undefeated, likely top 25 team. Well, I guess it won't. The new rankings won't come out by the time they get there on Sunday. But a net top 30 team in Nebraska on Sunday, and walking in Lincoln as an underdog for the first time in a very long time. I want to talk about that because we're going to try to get somebody from the Nebraska beat. Obviously, Robin Washington has done this show before, and he'll be my first call. But it's supposed to be a rivalry. How much did this coaching staff look at this Nebraska game as a rivalry?
Are you saying thinking about it as a rivalry? I mean, you're playing Nebraska. It's you want to beat them, but I don't think they'll get caught up in that. I mean, we never did before. It was, again, you're not dumb. You know what it means.
Right.
You know what it means to the fans, and you certainly want to have the quote unquote bragging rights. But you have to keep it as it's just another game on your schedule. I think the bigger thing is not that it's a rivalry game, but that it's a quad one game.
Yeah, it is now for sure.
And so you need to go out there and put your best foot forward and win the game. So so I don't know. I mean, I do know that they're not concerned with it from a this is Nebraska. Now, Mac will certainly address it with the team.
Okay.
And they say, look, like this is
it's gonna be a pretty hostile crowd.
Yeah, and you have to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
I remember Ryan Nemhard's freshman year going in there, and nobody thought we were going to win that game. That trip back to Omaha was fantastic, and so yeah, you certainly have to keep it in mind, but you're not focused on it in any way.
It's the Roll James podcast here on the Big East Energy Network. Obviously, a lot of love coming in from other schools. If you haven't liked and subscribed to Big East Energy on YouTube, please do so. We're are we over 20,000 now? We're over 20,000. Yeah, we're over 20,000. Over 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. You could be number 20,156 or something. I don't know what number that is, but
it's getting up there.
Yeah,
did UConn win?
I'm assuming so. A lot of love coming in for UConn. Obviously, the Huskies in Lawrence tonight. I almost said Manhattan, wrong, Kansas school. In Lawrence tonight and taking on the Kansas Jayhawks and trying to find.
We got started before their game was over. So yeah, they did. They won by 5.
Yeah,
wow.
Duke
Good for them.
Duke knocks off Florida. Kentucky is leading North Carolina, and yeah, UConn gets the win tonight after trailing for the vast majority of that game, and obviously a banner win for the conference. We're waiting on assistant coach Mike Nesbitt. We'll take a real quick break here. We'll come back. Hopefully, Coach will be with us. Hopefully, you stick around with us. This is the Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contact.
Why you need to try Pepper Jack's Grill, the best Philly cheesesteak in America. At Pepper Jack's Grill, we craft your Philly just the way you like it. Fresh ingredients, sizzling on the grill, and endless customization options. Not just Phillies, we've got rice bowls, burritos, nachos, and even vegetarian choices. And don't forget those crispy fries with our famous spicy ranch. With 10 great locations in Omaha, there's a delicious meal waiting for everyone in the family. Pepper Jack's Grill, your Philly, your way.
At Pyramid Contractors, we do it all. From repairing or replacing your roof to updating siding, windows, or gutters. When you have a home improvement project, call Pyramid Contractors.
PyramidRoof.com, never settle for less.
Welcome back inside the Roll Jays podcast. Creighton wins 96-76 over Nicholls tonight. And just going through some of the stats, Jason Green with 14 points tonight. Blake Harper, a very quiet 8 points tonight, just 1 3-point field goal attempt as well. Josh Dix with 14, Nick Graves with 11, Owen Freeman with 14, Austin Swartz with 11, Fedor Zugic with 8, Ty Davis with 3, Liam McChesney had 2, and Karam Conan had 2 as well. And Isaac Trout with 9 points. And we talked about this after the Oregon game. We talked about this after the first 2 losses in Vegas as well. And the Blake Harper dynamic is there's times where he looks like the most important player on the team. And then there's nights like tonight where he has a very, very quiet 8 points and just goes 2 of 5 from the field.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked at halftime about maybe an identity crisis defensively. We talked about it before the season. I think it was pretty clear in the offseason that Josh Dix was going to be the focal point of this offense. I think that's obviously debatable at this point. Who is the most important person on this team offensively going forward? It's got to be Nick Graves because he's the point guard, right?
I mean, yeah. I still would say Josh Dix.
Okay.
To me, it's got to be like I said this. Gosh, was it the exhibition? If Nick is our leading scorer and he's our go-to guy offensively, I don't think this team can be very good. That's not a knock on Nick at all.
It's a comment to the system.
Absolutely. And it's that you've got to have a guy that can set the table. You've got a guy that can create for other people. Where to me with Josh has to be able to help space the floor, which he's doing tremendously. He had a really deep one, tonight behind a ball screen.
He's playing a lot better off the ball too.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's his game.
Yeah,
like he's not. Like
he was very, very, very stagnant for the first 4 games of the season. That has not been the case since then.
No, he's figuring it out.
Yeah,
and again, it takes time, and it like we always say too with guys that transfer in. A lot of times it's year 2 before they really understand it and really can be utilized, properly in the system. So. For Josh to be kind of taking strides this early is a testament to him. And I think it's important and it sounds like an excuse. And I don't mean it to sound this way, but Josh is a local kid as well.
Mm-hmm.
For him. And so when you compound the fact that he's transferred in, he's trying to figure out the system, he's trying to prove everybody in this area that that he is
Sure.
the guy. Like,
Well,
it's just a little bit
and
hard.
I think there's a little bit to unpack there too, because not only that, it's like you also are coming from a situation where you were part of a team where the head coach got fired because of the performance of the team, and probably feel some type. It'd be hard not to feel some type of way about that, right? Like
Sure.
you've probably got a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, or maybe in some case a what happens if that happens here type. I mean, Greg McDermott's never getting fired, but what if I go back home and it doesn't work out? Because listen, not every coming home story is a fairy tale ending, right?
Yeah.
And it's got to be really difficult to have some struggles as a guy that left hometown. I mean, he's from Council Bluffs, from right across the river, but left your home area to go a couple hours down the road, albeit in your same state. But now you came back because it, quote, didn't work out there, and the old saying, you can never go home again. But that's gotta if you're a dog and you're a guy that only wants to ball and you're not worried about that type of stuff, it'd be impossible not to hear the chirping and the outside noise about that stuff, though.
Yeah, no, and all indications are. I don't know Josh well. I think I met him once or twice. All indications are he's a phenomenal kid.
Yeah, listen, I got the chance to interview him on the Roll Jays podcast. Go back and check out that interview. And just super well spoken and seemed like he was a super dialed in guy.
Everybody raves about him, and so I'm just happy to see him playing well. He seems like he's getting more comfortable. We'll have to ask Mike. Mike's on the way up here, so we'll have to ask Mike. When he gets up here, kind of how he feels.
You can ignore my text message. Then I was asking if
is that what it was?
If he got back to you.
No, but I think Josh is the most important piece for us offensively, and that we need him to score for our offense to really.
Speak of the devil, there he is. Great assistant coach Mike Nesbitt.
I got
joining
the
us tonight.
feedback last time that our show looked a little bit weird with everybody on both little things. So we're gonna try this now. Lucas Vargas told me that it looked a little bit weird. So Lucas, if you're watching,
if Lucas knows anything, it's about looking weird. So that's fair.
We got a new setup, Mike. Okay. We're gonna let you have this microphone.
You're probably gonna have to hold it though, because we can't hear him from right there.
Yeah.
Live podcast.
We just felt like it'd be less weird, and I won't touch you.
I was about to say it's already going better because Casey hasn't sexually harassed you 4 seconds into your interview.
All right, don't make it weird.
Hey, Coach, obviously you guys get a win tonight. You've won 2 in a row, a 20-point victory tonight. A lot of good, some stuff maybe to unpack specifically defensively. What were your thoughts following this 20-point win tonight over Nicholls?
Yeah, for a team like us, it's kind of struggled to make shots. The first 5 or 6 games, like coming out and I don't even know what the final stats were, but hitting 17, 18 threes, that was really good to see us. The ball moving offensively, that was really good to see as well. And then kind of like you said, like we gotta figure out, on the defensive end, guarding the ball one-on-one, being in our gaps, moving with the ball, all that kind of stuff. But, I think the biggest takeaway was on the offensive end that, we played pretty decently on that end.
Yeah, almost scored 100 points. That's pretty good.
If you could shoot 50% from 3 every night, we'll be fine.
Right.
The things that stand out to me, Mike, are like points in the paint. 38 points in the paint. We were talking about a little bit. Like for me, that's just a sign of, like you just alluded to, not guarding the basketball and allowing guys to get downhill and attack you at the rim. And because then you look at the other stat is they got to the line 16 times. Those things kind of go together. At what point do you just have to it just doesn't seem like this team from game to game is improving in that area. There's other areas, like to me, rebounding has been something that we've slowly been making progress on, but actually guarding the ball, it doesn't feel like it's improving. Am I wrong? And feel free to correct me. But if I'm not,
please correct me.
How can at this point, how do you correct that?
No, I don't think you're necessarily wrong on that. It's something that we have struggled with. Definitely tonight, kind of like you said, the points in the paint were evened up and they got to the foul line way too many times. It's a lot of it is just proper positioning, and that's something that's worked on every day, and it's something that is going to have to continue to be worked on every day. Getting in a stance on the ball, dropping our knees and getting into it probably a little bit more, but then where is our positioning? Where are our bodies in the gaps? Are these offensive players seeing multiple bodies that are, showing stop signs? And I think for a lot of these guys, it's,
it's a big difference from the last 5 years where you could really not, you could kind of just tug up to your guy. And if you got beat on the ball, there was, a 5-time defensive player of the year in the Big East standing behind you. So
What's that guy's name? Yeah,
exactly. Right. So like that necessarily wasn't the biggest deal, and that's presence is not there. So we need to be better guarding the ball with 3, 4, 5 guys as opposed to just leaving guys on island and playing them straight up one-on-one.
Maybe not a fair question for you, but this is something Casey and I were discussing at the halftime. What is the identity of Creighton's defense this year without Ryan Kalkbrenner? Can you define that for us at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still trying to figure that out. The first 5, 6 games, we pretty much played straight black coverage, our drop defensive coverage that has been so good for Creighton over the last 5 years. Over the last two games, we've switched up and blitzed a couple more ball screens. Got out and been a little bit more aggressive on that coverage. But I think we are still figuring that out as a team and as a staff, and that needs to keep getting better.
Let's keep going with that. Is the interesting thing is you have 2 different bigs that you're playing a lot, and then obviously Jason kind of playing the 4-5 that are very different, and especially with their feet and just the way that they can get out and guard ball screens. Whereas, like, it seems to me like you would rather have an Owen in that drop coverage versus maybe a Karam that can get out and hard hedge and still get back and recovery, just a little bit more fleet of foot, if you will. Is it harder to coach that way and be able to like switch that with from a personnel standpoint? Is it harder on all the other guys, I guess that are in positions where you're tagging or you're not tagging, you're having to help until your big can recover? Like, how much of that factors into, because I think people want to say, well, why don't we just switch? Why don't we do this? Or why don't we? Can you just talk about how all the other things that go that play a part in that? It's not just as simple as I'm either going to black this or I'm going to hard hedge it.
Yep. Kind of like you said, like, in a black ball screen coverage, theoretically you are staying out of rotations. Like, we should be able to be in the gap, our big backed up a little bit, kind of influencing that mid range, which we haven't done a great job of that. And really, like, it's pretty much you're playing 2-on-2 in that ball screen. And then when you do get out and hedge, like, kind of like you said, like, there's going to be at least 3 guys involved, and probably a little bit more than that, where a handler comes off the ball screen. Are we tagging from behind? Are we tagging ahead? Knowing exactly who's tagging, where we're tagging from. Are we sliding out with the big 2 slides? Are we staying with the ball handler until he picks it up? So there's a lot of different moving parts, and really through the first month and a half of the season, our communication has not been great. So that's something that needs to continue to improve, and until it does, we'll probably continue to struggle on that defensive end.
Do you feel like it's improving?
It has improved, over the last, I think the last couple of weeks, it's improved, but it's probably gone from a 2 to about a 5. So, there's still a long way to go in that regards, but it's a controllable. And, Matt came in after the game and said, like, I'm going to play the guys that he was very pleased with the offensive end, but I said I'm going to play the guys that really buy in and to getting stops on that defensive end. And there's not many more games like Nicholls State left on our schedule.
Sure.
I want to ask about Vegas, because obviously first 2 games don't go the way you guys wanted it to. You pick up the 3rd game, and it kind of looked like this team turned the corner, maybe moving with the ball and moving off the ball a little bit more than they were in the earlier part of the season. What did you guys take away from your trip to Vegas?
Yeah, I think kind of that. And I think, some of our guys got to see, get a taste of what the competition is going to be like pretty much going forward to the rest of the season. It's really hard to play ISO ball against really good teams. It's, it's important. There was a stretch in all those games where, we'd go on a run and a team would throw a punch back. And, the first 2 games, we didn't really have a response. So that was nice to see in that 3rd game where, we had a great first half against Oregon, and then they came out and really punched us hard to start the second half. And instead of kind of just folding like we've kind of done in previous situations like that, we got up off the mat and, responded to close out that game. So, I think takeaways, how hard you have to play for 40 minutes, and then, the ability to share the ball on the offensive end, and then, we got to compete on the defensive end.
So this will be your first coming up here, your first game at Nebraska on the Creighton staff. I'm sure you haven't had a really chance to think about that too much. And Jimmy and I were talking about, it's not like it's something that you're like, oh man, we get to go to Nebraska, but it is a rivalry game for our fans. It's one of those games where people care more about it. One, like, what are your thoughts early on? I'm sure you've watched a little bit of film. What do you think of them? And any kind of idea yet on game plan going into that game?
Initial thoughts, I mean, they're playing really well. I think I saw a stat that they're 8-0 for the first time since like 77, 78, something like that. They're a team that really shares the ball offensively. They're playing fast. They're really shooting the ball well. In transition, I think they're shooting over 60% from 3, which is a ridiculous stat. I actually coached Rink Mass for 2 years at Bradley, so I'm pretty familiar with him. But no, they're having a great year so far. So, and kind of like you said, I haven't heard, or I haven't been a part of it, but I've heard a lot from other guys on the staff about, how big the rivalry is, and what to expect when we walk in their building on Sunday afternoon. We'll watch tonight's film and then probably get together tomorrow at some point and start figuring out game plan. Coach Murfeld's been working ahead on this one, so he's got a great grasp on them, and we'll probably sit down and start going over those guys tomorrow.
There we go. You mentioned your time with Rink, and obviously he's going to draw a ton of attention from the defensive side of things. Owen will be the starter against him, assumingly. Jason and Isaac and those guys are going to have to rotate in there. What do you guys have to do to take him away specifically?
I think Rink, like he's one of the hardest workers I've ever been around, and he's a very high IQ player. And just kind of seeing what he's done this year, like, he's really shot the ball well. But the one thing he's always done well is like he's kind of he kind of does a good job of, responding to how the defense is guarding him. So, we're going to have to probably show him some different looks and kind of keep him off balance, hopefully get up underneath his legs a little bit. But, we'll figure all that out, here in the next couple of days.
Well, we'll try to get you out here, but speaking of legs, we got our guy Hudson Greer walking around in a little bit of a boot there. Anything you can share there? All indications are it's nothing too crazy, but obviously legs, feet.
He came and worked out for a couple of days and kind of was feeling some pain, and I think all like X-rays came back good, MRIs came back good. I think Coach Mack is just trying to be a little bit cautious with him and shut him down for a little bit and make sure he's 100% before he gets back into playing. So I don't know exactly what the timetable is with him, but we could definitely use him out there on the floor, and hopefully he'll be back soon.
Could he beat Jackson in a foot race on the scooter right now?
We got a couple of those guys on the scooter, so hopefully we don't have to get Hudson on one too. So he's just in the boot right now. But yeah, hopefully we'll have him back here pretty soon. That's great to see Coach Mike Nesbitt. Coach, congratulations on the win. We look forward to talking to you again later in the season. All right, thanks, guys. This has been the Roll Jays podcast, brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors. We'll see you on Sunday for a pregame show, a halftime show, and a postgame show for the Nebraska matchup. Thanks for watching Roll Jays.